Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. So, last year, there was a lot made about JJ Redick becoming the coach of the Lakers, right? A lot of people felt like he got that coaching position because of his relationship with LeBron James. People like Stephen A. Smith went at LeBron for basically undermining his coach at the time, Darvin Ham, by doing a podcast with another player talking about coaching and what plays they would run and this and this and this. He thought that was very disrespectful to the coach at the time, Darvin Ham, right? So later on, when the Lakers actually did decide to hire JJ Redick, it wasn't any real shock, but everybody attributed that to the podcast, the Mind Game podcast that LeBron was doing with JJ Redick. And I gotta say this, last year, JJ Redick absolutely exceeded my expectations. I thought the Lakers were going to flounder, but he gave them a much better regular season record than they'd had. I think it was a 3 seed or 4 seed, one of that, last year. But nevertheless, they still had the same conclusion as Darvin Ham the year prior. They got knocked out in round 1. So I was actually stunned when I saw this news yesterday of Minnesota Timberwolves head coach Chris Finch, who basically took a shot at JJ Redick. And I want to show you guys a thumbnail here. It says, it'll qualify you to coach the Lakers. And as a matter of fact, you can see Chandler Parsons in the comments saying, oh, wow. You see his comment there, just kind of reacting to it. So what we want to do is I want to play this sound for you guys, and then want to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to what Chris Finch had to say here.
Months.
Yeah.
My wife was worried about me. She's like, "You're such a workaholic. What are you gonna do?" And I was like, "Watch how amazing I am at doing nothing." It was great.
I mean, I bet you 3/4 of these people are going to go home and do a podcast tonight.
You're going with the anti-media tropes right out of the gate.
I mean, it'll qualify you to coach the Lakers.
Excellent. So you heard his comments. Now, why does this pack an extra punch? Well, first of all, it's a sitting NBA coach saying this about another NBA coach. But it's also important to understand that Chris Finch coached against JJ Redick last year in round 1 in the playoffs. Do you guys remember that? He coached against them, and his team beat the Lakers decisively. And during that coaching battle or whatever, JJ was kind of exposed for not being, for basically being a rookie head coach. He was making some blunders here and there. There was the one move that he did that drew a lot of criticism, which was him deciding to play his starters an entire second half of a playoff game. He was criticized heavily for that. Obviously, he was very defensive with the media. That didn't work out in his favor, and a lot of people pointed the blame and in his direction, and I think that was justified. I think they did the right thing by pointing the blame in his direction because he was a coach and he needed to own some of those decisions. But nevertheless, the Lakers are off to a pretty good start this year. They're the number 5 seed right now in the Western Conference behind the Houston Rockets, Denver Nuggets, Oklahoma City Thunder, and I can't remember the other team that's leading them in the standings, right? And the Spurs. But nevertheless, he's doing a great job. And I think it's also important to bear in mind that he's able to coach them to this record while Austin Reeves has missed, I think, 2 games. Luka Doncic has missed 4 games, right? So he's been able to keep this team, he's been able to help this team remain pretty consistent on a night in and night out and competitive on a night in and out basis. So it's very surprising to see a sitting head coach say that about another coach. You never see that. I mean, you've seen coaches kind of go back and forth with each other in playoff series. You've seen that happen. But to say that, it's surprising, right? You wouldn't expect that. You would expect that from maybe a pundit or someone else, maybe a former player, but a coach in the NBA, that was that could be something. Let me say this. That could be a sentiment that's probably felt across the league by other coaches, right? It could be a sentiment that a lot of coaches have that maybe Chris Finch is just voicing what a lot of these other guys think. But look, let's not be too hard on JJ. Again, I'm not a fan of it. I wasn't a fan of his, but he's doing a good job with this team. But if we want to talk about some questionable things going down in the NBA, there's another coach that I'm wondering how he even still has a job. And you know who that is? Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers. It's unreal. Now, Doc Rivers is actually a proven coach. He's a championship coach. But when Doc Rivers lost his job in Philadelphia, and I think like a week or so later, he got hired by the Milwaukee Bucks, we were all like, you got to be joking. Like, this has to be. We were even making jokes like, Doc Rivers must have the best agent in all of sports, man. So, yeah, JJ, you can crack some jokes. You can say one or two things about him, but he isn't the only one, right? But in JJ's credit, he's doing a good job, right? He's doing a good job. But nevertheless, that doesn't stop me from being surprised at the fact that a sitting head coach would nevertheless say this about another coach. LeBron James fans were on a world tour yesterday and the day before that because the Lakers lost to the best team in the NBA, in the Oklahoma City Thunder, right? LeBron fans are really celebrating. And now they're talking about Luka Doncic ain't this, Austin Reeves ain't this, blah, 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 blah. They've accused the Lakers of racism because they're now covering up for Luka and Austin Reeves, but they wouldn't do that for LeBron James, accusing the media of race. I mean, LeBron fans are insane people. Like they're just a set of insane people, right? They're accusing the media of racism for covering up for the white Luka Doncic, but then they're not covering up for LeBron James, like as if the media has not been twerking it up for the last 20 plus years for LeBron. All of a sudden now they're racist, right? But in the aftermath of that loss, I think it was like a 30-point loss or something like that, 91 to 1. I don't remember the exact score, but they lost by a lot. It now opened the door for this conversation of, LeBron James needs to come back and save the day. The Lakers need LeBron James. The Lakers need LeBron James. So Laker Nation, I got some bad news here. We got a report here from Dave McMenamin from ESPN. I want to read the headline for you. It says, sources, LeBron James practices with G League affiliate again. And then it continues on. LeBron James practiced with the G League South Bay Lakers again Thursday and did not experience any residual effects from Wednesday's workout. Sources told ESPN, an encouraging sign after James' first 5-on-5 play since the first round of the playoffs more than 6 months ago. James, who turns 41 next month, missed all of training camp in the Lakers' first 12 games of the season while recovering from sciatica, nerve pain affecting his lower back and down the right side of his body. James is practicing with the G League affiliate while the Lakers are finishing a 5-game road trip against the New Orleans Pelicans on Friday and the Milwaukee Bucks on Saturday. A source present for Wednesday's practice told ESPN the workout was intense as James prepares to become the first player in NBA history to suit up for a 23rd season. In Thursday's practice, run by South Bay coach Zach Guthier, James was a full participant once again, sources said, and was able to complete the 5-on-5 live portion without any lingering pain or soreness in his lower back or right side. The Lakers plan to hold a practice on Monday in El Segundo, California after the road trip, and James could join them if he continues to progress through the weekend. Sources said LA hosts the Utah Jazz on Tuesday and doesn't play again until the November 23rd on the road against the Jazz. In other South Bay news, the team acquired, so then it goes on to say a few other things there. Laker Nation, brace yourselves for this. Okay, brace yourselves for this because LeBron James will be coming back and he will most likely be returning at the end of this month. And let me tell you why I'm telling you guys to brace yourselves. Because there are a few things that may happen. Number one, LeBron may return and then the team may start losing. Right. Currently, as we speak, the Lakers have a healthy winning record with an 8-4 record. Right. They're 7-3 over their last 10 games. So they've been winning some games, obviously, without him. So the first thing that we need to be wary of is that when he returns, there's a possibility that things may throw them off track, and then ultimately they may start losing games. Right now, the Lakers are very competitive in a very competitive Western Conference. The only team that's really differentiated themselves from the pack is the Oklahoma City Thunder, who at this rate look like they're going to win 70 games this year. They're with a 12-1 record, but they're pretty much within shouting distance of the other teams. The Denver Nuggets are 9-2, Spurs are 8-3, Rockets are 7-3, and Lakers are 8-4. So they're there. They win a couple of games here, whatever. And it's also important to state this: the Lakers could possibly even have a better record had they not missed so many, had some of their key players not missed so many games, like Luka Doncic, I believe, had already missed 4 games. Imagine if he was available for those 4 games. They probably have more wins, right? So the Lakers are doing fantastically well without LeBron James. And it's the reason why I'm stunned that his fans were up there cackling like a pack of hyenas yesterday, talking about how much they need LeBron. It's like, do you realize they have an 8-4 record? And some of their key players like Austin Reeves has missed time. Luka Doncic has missed 4 games. And yet and still, they're 4 games above 500. And you guys are acting like as if, like, so that's that. So you have that part, the fear of them coming back and screwing everything up. Then you have the second part of it, which is the toxicity will now re-enter the building. What am I talking about? Well, things have been pretty much simple. The only criticism that I've heard towards any particular Laker, and it's been justified, is towards DeAndre Ayton, because he is extremely unreliable and inconsistent. The last game, I think he had 5 points or 6 points and 5 rebounds. Just an absolute disgrace, right? An absolutely disgraceful performance. He got out rebounded by Luka Doncic, who had 7 rebounds, and I believe his 7 foot behind had 5, if I'm not mistaken, right? So the criticism towards him has been justified. But apart from that, there hasn't been any drama. The Lakers lose. Okay, they lost with Oklahoma City Thunder. Who didn't think they were going to lose? They're the best team in the NBA. Who thought coming into this season that the Lakers were going to be on par with the Oklahoma City Thunder? Now, of course, delusional LeBron fans think that LeBron provides them that much of a premium that if he played, they would somehow be on par with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Like as if we didn't watch the Lakers get bounced out of round 1 last year with LeBron on the roster with Luka Doncic in round 1, and they were only able to win 1 game against the Minnesota Timberwolves, a team that they have already beaten 2 times this year without LeBron. But nevertheless, you got these LeBron fans sitting up there twerking it up all over the place, pouring honey all over each other's necks, hollering and screaming, gyrating, running up and down the hallways, just twerking and shaking, talking about, oh man, you see you need LeBron. Y'all need to just knock it the off. Y'all need to just knock it off. And when is this fan base going to go away, for goodness sake? When are y'all going to exit stage left? We so sick of y'all as a fan base. When are y'all going to leave? Like, seriously. LeBron fans are just despicable. And I'm going to tell you why I'm saying this. They are rooting for the team to lose. I repeat it once more. They are rooting for the Lakers to lose. Why? Because if LeBron is not the reason they're winning, they should not be winning. You are getting a glimpse into the mindset of LeBron fans. It's all about his stats. That is all. His statistics. And if he's not compiling stats, win or lose, it don't matter. They would rather it be LeBron is back here. He's averaging 30. The media's talking about how much help does LeBron need, blah, 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 blah. But at least he's averaging his 25, 7, and 7, or whatever the hell numbers make these guys feel good about themselves. And they have him over there touching their bodies like Mariah Carey. That's all that really seems to move them. So now if they could have it their way, Lakers should lose every single game until he returns, just to make it seem like, oh my God, they need LeBron so much. Like as if we have not been there watching them get knocked out in the first round over the last 2 years. This is why this fan base gotta go, bro. Once he retires, I know for a fact they're gonna, because they're not basketball fans, these guys. They're not even fans of basketball. They are just LeBron fans. That's all they are. Other fans, you can be a particular fan of another player, but you can like other players. You can like Wemby. You can like Luka. You can like this guy. You can like that guy. You can like SJ. Not LeBron fans. No. If it ain't LeBron, we ain't liking nobody else, man. No LeBron, no basketball. No, daddy. No, Poppy. No. This is who they are. Just a bunch of twerking ass, cackling hyenas. Like a pack of hyenas. Oh, man, LeBron loves you. They need LeBron. Proves you they need LeBron. They prove you they need LeBron. That's all. That's their whole life. That's their whole existence. So as you guys know, all hell is breaking loose right now on Capitol Hill because we're pretty much heading towards the Jeffrey Epstein files being fully released. Now, over 22,000 documents were released over the last few days, and it's not been good. And this whole Epstein thing is something that it's just like, it's a story that's just not going away for President Trump. It picked up a lot of steam a number of months ago where the administration was under a lot of pressure to release the files, but somehow, some way they found a way around it and they were able to just kind of skirt the issue and other things came up. But then something very important happened. Adelita Grijalva was actually sworn in, and it was an important thing by Mike Johnson. It was a very important thing because she was the final vote that would actually trigger a vote. For them to release the files. And what has happened is that it seems to be a bipartisan initiative where both Democrats and Republicans want these files released. Well, one person that seems to be unhappy about all of this is none other than Stephen A. Smith. And he took the opportunity to go on his show, Straight Shooter, to absolutely rip the Democrats for pushing for the release of the Epstein files, all in an attempt to protect Donald Trump. Now, some of you are like, there's no way Stephen A. Smith did this. Folks, that's exactly what he did on this show. So what we want to do is want to play exactly what Stephen A. Smith had to say. I want you guys to sit down and listen to this one because he said a lot. I want you guys to listen to it, and then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to Stephen A. Smith's comments here.
But the Dems ain't innocent in all of this. Not by a damn sight. Speaking of the Epstein files, Representative Adelita Grijalva, she was a guest on this show. She was sworn in this afternoon. And she spoke about the Epstein files because ABC News came out with a story today linking Trump to the Epstein files because Jeffrey Epstein, seen during emails or via emails, essentially alluded to the fact that Trump knew about the girls, whatever that means, without specificity. Adelita Grijalva spoke about that because obviously once she's sworn in, she's the final deciding vote for the Epstein files to be opened and essentially given to the public, supposedly. And here she is today on the House floor speaking about it. Griff, play cut 5.
Just this morning, House Democrats released more emails showing that Trump knew more about Epstein's abuses than he previously acknowledged. It's past time for Congress to restore its role as a check and balance on this administration and fight for we, the American people. We need to fight for our immigrant communities and veterans. We need to stand up for our public schools, children, and educators. We need to respect tribal sovereignty in our environment. We need to stand up for LGBTQ plus rights because that's what the American people expect us to do. Fight for them. That is why I will sign the discharge petition right now to release the Epstein files.
Y'all cool with that? I have no problem with the Epstein files being exposed. I think anybody who's done what Jeffrey Epstein did should be thrown under the damn jail. They should spend the rest of their natural born life in prison if he was alive to do it. Young girls being sexually molested is as disgusting as it gets. It is as vile as it gets. We ain't making any excuses for anybody like that. What a despicable, despicable human being. There's a special place in hell for people like that. But that's not what anybody can definitively associate the president with. He knew Epstein, so did Bill Clinton. So did a plethora of other famous people inside and outside the world of politics. Incriminating emails, well, what specifically and how significant was it? And when we sit up there as Democrats and we're applauding on the House floor, now that Adelita Grijalva was there talking about she'll be the final vote to sit up there and open the Epstein files, and everybody's applauding for the Democratic Party. Ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind that the Epstein files were in existence and free to have been opened during the Biden administration. You were there for 4 years. How come you didn't open it as a Democratic Party then? What am I missing? I'm not saying I know. It's a legitimate question. Maybe I don't remember the answer. Maybe my extraordinary producers should be able to help me during the commercial break. But from my understanding, the same files that were open or being open now with the 220 pages of documents or whatever it is, with various emails, that could have been done when Biden was in office. Well, why didn't you do it? If it's so important now. What were the Democrats doing at that particular moment in time? See, this is the kind of stuff that smells. Because my attitude is just deducing how much they despise Trump is if there was some real bona fide dirt on him, since you went after him with the 34 felony convictions, which essentially was deduced to him paying hush money to Stormy Daniels, a porn star, just so she wouldn't reveal their happenings with one another leading up to the election in 2016. Okay? If you had something like that you were willing to parade him through the streets with, of course, if you had something on him about Epstein, you'd have let it go earlier to make sure he didn't become the 47th president. That's just my thinking from a logical perspective. But what do I know? Either way you slice it, when that kind of stuff is going on, all it does is foster the continual divide that is inevitably going to exist. One side hates each other so much that neither side is willing to negotiate and work with one another until desperate times means desperate measures. And the American people are the ones that suffer first, and they're the ones that suffer the most before the residual collateral impact is truly, truly felt. That's the damn problem. And even with the end of this shutdown taking place, I still find myself thinking, more of the same, ain't nothing new.
So you heard what Stephen A. Smith had to say. Now, he said something, I think at the tail end of his comments. He said, what am I missing? What am I missing? Is what he said. And I think Stephen A. Smith is missing a critical component of this entire story. He said, why didn't Biden and them push to have these files released? Why is it happening now all of a sudden when Trump is president? Here's what Stephen A. Smith seems to be missing. Donald Trump, while campaigning, said he would release the Epstein files when he took office. He himself said that. Do you know who else also supported him for that? His supporters, his base. It's the reason why they were so upset when the president was chastising his own base for wanting transparency on the issue. The reason MAGA and whoever it is, these people that support Trump, were upset with him is because this is something that they deem to be important. And the president campaigned on it. He said he would do it. So when he got into office and he now seems to be reluctant on doing the very thing that he said he would do, his own constituents are calling him out on it. That's the first thing. Now, he brought up a point about the Democrats using this as a way to attack Donald Trump. I don't know if Stephen A. Smith is aware of this, but it's a bipartisan initiative. There are also Republicans that are silently planning to vote on the release of Epstein files because they themselves believe in transparency. And there are reports out there that the president, or rather the White House, is putting pressure on them that if you do vote for the files to be released, you will not have any support heading into the midterms. But then you've had some conservative members of the government saying, no, look, you may get support in the long term, but that's always going to be on your record. So what happens when Trump leaves? It's always going to be on your record that you voted against the release of the Epstein files. They need this thing to work also with cooperation from the Republicans. So that's the reason why I'm stumped by Stephen A. Smith's comments, making it seem like it's just a Democratic initiative. Now, I'll say this. Do the Democrats want this information to come out that would hurt Trump? Absolutely. But here's something else he seems to be missing, because he says, what am I missing? Is Stephen A. Smith also aware that they may be some Democrats that may be named in these files? Like Bill Clinton or the Clintons? Is he aware of that too? Is he also aware of the fact that Democrats, knowing that other Democrats may be dragged into this mess, are still willing to go ahead and do it? Do you know why? Because a lot of them feel like there's just no room to defend pedophiles. There's just no room for it in government. So for me, I'm confused why Stephen A. Smith seems to be taking this position on this issue. Really, I am. And I think the reason Stephen A. Smith is doing this is because he just wants to keep on grifting. It seems like as if he's more concerned about politics than transparency. Literally. It's almost like as if transparency is like an afterthought. And he's engaging in a whole lot of whataboutisms. Well, wait, he did this. What about these guys? They did this. But what about those guys? It's like, really? That's your predisposition, or that's your disposition to this issue? This is what you're focused on? And what's happening is that he's on an island. He's on an island. The only people that don't want these files to come out are maybe people within the Trump administration. Maybe them. But outside of that, most Americans do. Most Americans do. Even people that voted for Trump want this information out there. So Stephen A. Smith is almost talking like as if he's running, he's like a spin doctor for the White House. That's literally what he sounds like. Literally what he sounds like. I just be confused by the positions that Stephen A. Smith takes on issues, especially political issues. I'm very, very confused. Very confused. That damn Megyn Kelly is back at it again, right? She's back at it again. As you guys know, we're quickly heading towards a vote to release the Epstein files. And the Trump administration is scrambling like a bunch of chickens with their heads cut off because they don't want these files to be released. And it's important to say that in order for these files to be released, you need both Democratic and Republican support for this votes to do this. And that's exactly what it seems like is taking place right now, right? But Megyn Kelly, being the weirdo that she normally is, she decided to say something that absolutely floored me. Megyn Kelly went on her show, and I kid you not, and she was up there trying to defend the president and Jeffrey Epstein. And in a move that may shock some people, may not, but may shock some, she was actually trying to humanize Epstein and say, well, it wasn't like as if he was doing this with 5-year-olds. I mean, they may have been 15-year-olds, but it wasn't, I mean, it's not as bad as a 5-year-old. And I'm like, is Megyn Kelly actually trying to defend Jeffrey Epstein and the president? For those of you who think I might be making this up, take a listen to this woman here.
As for Epstein, I've said this before, but just as a reminder, I do know somebody very, very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything. Not everything, but virtually everything. And this person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls. And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts. That he wasn't into like 8-year-olds, but he liked the very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they were, but would look legal to a passerby. And that is what I believed, and that was what I reliably was told for many years. And it wasn't until we heard from Pam Bondi that they had tens of thousands of videos of alleged, forgive me, they used to call it, now they call it child abuse material, on his computer, that for the first time I thought, oh no, he was an actual I mean, only a pedophile gets off on young children videos. She's never clarified it. I don't know whether it's true. I have to be honest. I don't really trust Pam Bondi's word on the Epstein matters anymore. Yeah, so I don't know what's true about him, but we have yet to see anybody come forward and say, I was I was under 10. I was under 14 when I first came within his purview. Look, you can say that's a distinction without a difference.
No, it's not.
I think there is a difference. Yeah. There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old.
So you heard her comments. These people have platforms, major platforms, and there are people that look at Megyn Kelly as a serious source of information. Is she aware that he was already charged with this in 2008? Is she aware of this? She's talking like as if this is like a conspiracy, like Epstein didn't really go to jail. Like Ghislaine Maxwell is not in jail. Like this is just, none of this is really proven. Really? So as I'm listening to her try to make all of these concessions, I couldn't help but think about her reaction in the aftermath of the Diddy trial, where she went on a rampage. A literal rampage. After a not guilty verdict on some of the more serious charges in that trial, she went on a rampage against Diddy and even the jury. And even though Diddy was found not guilty on some of the extreme charges, it did not stop her from trashing him and not giving him the benefit of the doubt whatsoever. So for those of you who don't remember her rant, we want to play it for you right now, just so we can give you guys a quick juxtaposition here, some contrast before we continue on the show. Take a listen to Megyn Kelly here.
I'm so confused about, here's a little bit more, New York Times. With a touch of levity, the judge said he assumed Combs would not want to return to the Brooklyn jail where he has been held. Combs shook his head vigorously and put his hands together in prayer. Oh, it's all just so chummy inside the courtroom for this disgusting pervert female abuser who I can't believe is about to roam our streets again. I'm sorry, I'm disgusted by this verdict. This is fucking ridiculous. I just find it absolutely outrageous, the amount of crime that this guy just got away with. I believe he committed arson. He definitely battered Cassie. He battered Jane too. The statute of limitations for battery in Los Angeles and California is 1 year. 1 year. So if they didn't charge him for battery within 1 year, and they couldn't because he bought the tape and it remained hidden thanks to those security guards out there, then they could never charge him with that again. There's no question. He dragged her back into that hotel room. Why wasn't that kidnapping? They only talked about the kidnapping of Capricorn Clark, who was his sort of main assistant, because she said he grabbed her and made her go with him over to Kid Cudi's house. There's no question he broke into Kid Cudi's house, in my view, and that he opened up the Christmas presents and locked the door in and made a threat. There's no question in my mind he was behind the arson of Kid Cudi's car, and there was proof, plenty of proof to prove that. There was female fingerprints they found on that, the firebomb that was left there, the Molotov cocktail. And the prosecution said there's no question he didn't do it himself, but he said, I'm going to bomb Kid Cudi's car. It's in writing. Cassie Ventura emailed her mother saying, oh my God, he's threatening to bomb his car. And 2 weeks later, it got bombed. Oh, gee, it was just some third party who also had, it's just like the proof was there. Yeah. The beatings, the threats that if they didn't go back into those rooms and get off with these male escorts, that they were going to get beaten. The testimony from that Daniel Phillip, who was the male escort, who heard Combs abusing Cassie behind the door. And she was screaming, I'm sorry, as he heard him slapping her. Get back out there. She came back out. She was shaking. She got back into the escort's lap, physically shaking. She was so scared to the point where that guy couldn't perform sexually because this was so horrifying to him. What in the actual F went on in there?
So you heard Megyn Kelly in that clip. In this clip, she was outraged because of the women victims. She was fighting for women, right? And Diddy was a piece of doo-doo and a human scum and all of this and all of that. She's over there fighting for women, right? But in the case of Epstein, as it's connected to the president, you're making all of these concessions, Megyn. What happened to this righteous indignation that exists within you? Do you know what happened? Do you know what happened to it? Her racism outweighs the indignation that she's meant to be feeling. That's what's happening. Trump, or rather Epstein, was accused of doing way worse on a much larger scale. They were trying to get Diddy on the RICO, a one-man RICO. Meanwhile, you have Jeffrey Epstein, which the thing with the Epstein Island seems like a global network of powerful business people and leaders and political leaders all going to that island, and it all centralizes around one person, and Jeffrey Epstein, and even the president was on the flight logs. But Megyn Kelly was ready to throw Diddy in jail to skip an entire trial. But when it comes to Epstein and Trump, all of a sudden she's willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. Do you know what that's called, ladies? It's called racism. I believe Megyn Kelly is a flat out, bona fide, unabashed racist. I believe that. I never liked her. Do you know why? Because I know she don't like people like me, period. And if you don't like me, I don't like you. I ain't gonna come for you. But if you don't like me, I don't like. Megyn Kelly is a bloody racist. She is. Because here we have two situations where one party is being accused of the unthinkable on an extremely large scale. And she's actually trying to qualify by saying, well, at least they're not 5-year-olds. He liked them close to the age of being legal, but at least they're not 5-year-olds. Really? Really? And this is somebody we need to be taken seriously? Why? Why? Megyn Kelly's a racist. She's a racist. She's a racist because the behavior that she's not willing to excuse for the black guy, she's willing to excuse it for the white guys. This is a fact. She just did it. She just did it. In the one case, she's fighting for justice for the women in the Diddy case. What about the justice for justice and women in the Epstein case? What happened, Megyn? I thought you're fighting the good fight for women. What happened? What happened? Even when there was the idea of Trump potentially pardoning Diddy, she went on a rampage. Don't pardon that scum of the earth. Don't pardon that scum. She's even talking about why don't they change the laws of, what's beyond the statute, because, they couldn't go after Diddy for domestic, because really that should have been a domestic issue case. Domestic violence case. That's really what that case should have been. A domestic violence case. So she's even angry that the statute is past the statute of limitations, which I think is 10 years or something, like 5 years. I don't know what the limitation is. She was upset with that. But for Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump, she's willing to make concessions. This is what they do. This is what they do. She's a racist. I said it. She is a racist. There's no other way to what other way could you characterize what's taking place here? She wasn't willing to give Diddy the benefit of the doubt before the case even was concluded upon. But Trump, she's doing that. Why? What's the difference here? What's the difference? What's the difference? Are they both not men? Are women not allegedly the victims of what's going on here? Is that not really what's going down here? Huh? So why is it different now? Why are you so pissed off for Diddy, but for Epstein and Trump, you're willing to kind of just intellectualize what's really going on here? Why? Why is that, Megyn? Megyn Kelly supporters, why is she doing that? You know why she's doing it, but we're going to all play the game, right? We're all going to play this game and act like as if we don't. This was just something that just popped up on my timeline, and I was watching it. I didn't remember that. I said, oh, let's talk about this. So these are my thoughts. I think Megyn Kelly's a racist. I don't think there's any other way to characterize her. And if you believe she's not a racist, explain why in the Diddy case, she took one firm position against Diddy, but in this particular case, she's making all of these concessions. Explain that to me. Explain it to me, please. All right? Because it's not like as if Jeffrey Epstein didn't go to jail and Ghislaine Maxwell's not in jail. So please help me understand it. the difference here? Please explain to me why there's a nuance that exists within her point of views when it comes to these two different cases. Please explain to me. I'll be happy to hear your explanation for this in the comments. Please let me know.